Hey there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, Mini. So, for those that haven't been around for a while, I know we're in October, kind of in the heart of the fall, but back at the beginning of the summer, I got a 4-pack or a 12-pack, 4 different flavors of White Claw Zero Proof, and didn't realize until getting ready today that I never did the 4th one. So, tonight we are going and doing the Mango Passion Fruit white flavor of the White Claw Zero. There's black cherry cranberry, peach orange blossom, lime yuzu, and the mango passion fruit. And I gotta say, it's not my favorite. It is not my favorite. I know I really liked the black cherry cranberry, and I know I really liked lime yuzu because the lime yuzu kind of tasted a little bit like gin and tonic or something like that. And the peach was really tasty too. There's just something about this mango passion fruit that I love mango, and before I opened it, I love the smell that I got. But I don't know if it's the taste or if the mango and the passion fruit just aren't blending as well as much as I'd like. But yeah, I would probably say between the 4, this one's probably my least favorite. A non-alcoholic premium drink that's refreshingly delicious choice. Hints of mango and tropical fruit. Passion fruit flavors perfectly complement each other to deliver an authentic taste. Authentic taste it is, but if I'm being honest with you guys, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. It's solid. Like if people had it out and was the only non-alcoholic option, I would definitely drink it. But if there were other options, there are probably a handful of other things I would rather drink than this. It's just truthfully not a very flavorful, not one of my favorites. So I'm not gonna beat a dead horse on this one. I'm gonna go like 4 or 5. I'm gonna go 4 or 5. I don't like it. I usually do like mango and different like blackberry, different flavors, stuff like that. But yeah, just not my cup of tea on this one. And kind of a little sad. I was looking forward to enjoying this one and getting more 12 packs. I might have to be a little bit more selective with the 6 packs I get now instead. So yeah, it's just if you go to whiteclaw.com, for those that do drink, you can find out all the stuff that they have by now. They obviously have their usual White Claws. They have their claw tails, the surge, and then obviously the zero proof. And just like the other ones, you can go onto their website, whiteclaw.com, and you can find out where you can buy them, which is super cool, like all our other places we do. And then you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I actually believe they don't have it on their website, but I think I'm almost positive I've seen them on TikTok as well. So go give them go check them out. For those of you that have had this, let me know what you think about this. And on top of that, let me know what flavors you guys like. And let's get together here. So before we jump into Tommy Town for the week, I wanted to give a quick shout out to not a brewery, a coffee shop, Minnesota. I know it's not like a bistro or like a hole in the wall kind of place, but Caribou Coffee. There are so many Starbucks and there are so many Caribous in Minnesota, and my wife always teases me because she's more of a Starbucks gal, and I'm like, I didn't realize this until I got a little bit older and started actually doing the podcast. I realized Caribou is actually a Minnesota-based company, so I'm like, if I can, I'm gonna go to Caribou. Want to come on, give them a quick shout out. For those that don't know, it's not like, again, like there's a hole in the wall. I'm sure a lot of you listening know about Caribou. But if you haven't already, go check out their stores. Autumn menu items have dropped. One of their new ones this year is their iced white mocha with pumpkin cold foam. I personally have not tried it yet, and I know the cold foams are kind of the new craze, kind of new thing. They have their iced pumpkin crafted pressed pumpkin white mocha. I had that one a little while back, and it wasn't terrible. I really do like pumpkin flavored stuff. They still got their pumpkin latte, pumpkin espresso shaker. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, my 2 favorites so far have been, and I'm a huge apple flavor and huge apple crisp guy. So my 2 personal favorites have been the hot honey crisp apple caramel high rise and the honey crisp apple energy. For those that do go, you can get the Honeycrisp Apple Energy with lemonade or just original, and then they also have an apple crisp honey crisp apple caramel espresso shaker. I haven't tried that one yet, but for those that saw my story on Instagram or TikTok today, that is what was on it, was a honey crisp apple energy. So go check them out. They have even some new bakery items. The pumpkin cream cheese muffin is to die for. That thing was unbelievable. They have a French toast sandwich now and apple cinnamon pastry. So like I said, I'm sure you guys have heard about them, but if you haven't known yet, they have dropped their fall stuff. Go try them out. Let me know what you guys like, and I will definitely keep you guys posted as well. So yeah, like I said, Minnesota-based podcast. Always love to shout out the great the great businesses, whether big or small, in our own backyard of the great state of Minnesota. Moving right along, Tommytown. So before we dive into a couple of the teams we will be talking about in Tommytown, just a couple of days ago on the 29th, so what would that have been? Monday, St. Thomas and Fox9 announced their 2025-2026 broadcast schedule. Before we actually dive into this, I want to apologize once again. I know I kind of no-showed you guys again last night, but we're coming at you guys healthy today. Was a little bit under the weather last night. The wife and I ordered some Chinese food that didn't sit very well with me and kind of felt like a little bit of early onset food poisoning. Not a great night, but nonetheless, we're, like I said, healthy and back at it with you guys. Yeah, like I said, the Fox9 announced the 2025-2026 broadcast schedule of games between the football team, men and women's basketball, and men and women's hockey. And for those that are curious, there will be 4 football games. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. This Saturday's 1 p.m. kickoff homecoming game against Butler will be on there. When we host Valparaiso on the 18th of October, November 1st against Morris, and then the last one will be November 15th versus Presbyterian. And then the men's hockey team will be featured two times. Okay, just 2 times. One of the games will be the North Dakota game at Grand Casino Arena. I was about to call it the X. And then the second one and the other last one will be the home opener, which I will that I will be at, is the game against Providence when they host and kick off their home opener in the new arena. The women's hockey team will have 1, 2, 3 games. Women's hockey team against Providence opening night as well, versus Minnesota on December 5th, and then versus Minnesota again on February 6th. So seeing them in 2 times. And then the men and women's basketball team will kick off with the first one being the men and women's team on November 8th against Army, kicking off their inaugural games in the new Lee and Penny Anderson Arena. Men's basketball versus South Dakota January 7th. Men's basketball January 22nd against SDSU. Women's basketball against SDSU February 4th. And then the last game on the schedule for the year will be on February 26th when the men's basketball team takes on NDSU at home. So that is our broadcast schedule for those that are interested. If you go to TommySports.com, you can also find the schedule as well. And then, this nothing on the men's hockey team yet, but they are gearing up for their first game of the year. Saturday, they'll be up in the Herb Brooks Sports Center in St. Cloud to take on the Huskies, so good luck to them. But this women's team, man, this is their 3rd straight year starting the season 4-0. Back in 2024, they went on 4-0 and then went on 2-10 total games on the season. Last year started 4-0, finished the season with 9 wins, and then this year team is obviously looking to take a big step. Obviously, it hurts that they're in such a competitive and such a good conference in the WCHA. But hey, they have a couple winnable games here. They have a series in Mankato against Minnesota State coming up here, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So they'll have an extra week to get ready for the Mavericks. But it really stinks that they got to play. Obviously, after that, they got St. Cloud State and then Providence before they kicked that off. But it really stinks when you got to play, Ohio State twice a year, Minnesota twice a year, UMD twice a year, Wisconsin twice a year, because 3 of those 4 teams I just named off were in the literal Final Four last year for the entire thing. So this team is definitely, when they break that barrier, they're definitely going to be battle tested and going to be a freight train to be reckoned with. But yeah, still really awesome that they're for no small accomplishment, big accomplishment for them. And they got their 3rd and 4th wins this last weekend against Lindenwood, which both the men's and women's programs, very similar to St. Thomas, has kind of taken off a little bit since its inception just 2 years ago, I think. So really awesome to see. Like I said, they will be off this upcoming weekend, and their next games will be will be in Mankato, as they will still have 2 more weekend series away before coming back for their season opening in the Liam Penny Anderson Arena at 2 p.m. Providence. So yeah, that's what we have for the women's hockey team. The men's football team, Atomic football team, suffered a very heartbreaking loss to San Diego. I was going to say State. It was not San Diego. Just San Diego Toreros. Sorry. 27-30, and really not to take away from what San Diego was able to do in that second half against us. Obviously, they came back with a vengeance, as we built a 17-3 lead going into halftime, and were outscored 10-20 in the second half. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I really do believe St. Thomas lost this game more than San Diego won. They won the game, but it was just really tough, really, really tough to see. The Tommies defense held strong for much of the final quarter. It says two late San Diego drives shifted the momentum. The Toreros tied the game with 1:52 remaining, and they kicked a last-second field goal to complete the comeback and claim a 30-27 win. And they were on the cusp of being tied 27-27, of kicking a field goal or getting a touchdown to win the game, before Andy Peters fumbled the ball with not much time left, and on within the 5-yard line of the end zone that they were going into. So they had the opportunity to do the exact opposite to them. And I hate to make this, it's tough when you talk in terms of football, because there's just a lot less games to be played than in basketball and in hockey. But as much as I don't want to make this a bigger deal than it really is, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to win the division now, the conference, and make it to the postseason, simply because at this point they're going to need help. They need to win the rest of their games. At the very least, they're going to need San Diego to lose at least 2 games, because at this point, if they have the same record at the end of the season, San Diego holds a tiebreaker because they beat us. Again, you try not to make this seem like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, because it's not. There's still a lot of football left to be played, but you hate to kind of come back at the end of the season, not make the playoffs, and look at this game and be like, if this one was different, it would have been different for us. So yeah, St. Thomas in this one, excuse me, was led by, like I said, Andy Peters threw for 216 yards, 14 of 26 passes, and a pair of touchdowns, was sacked 3 times. And then on the ground, Andy Peters was a dog this game as well. He rushed for 1 touchdown, and rushed for 61 yards on 16 carries. And then on the receiving side of games, Quentin Butler had 132 yards on 6 catches, both touchdowns. Tyson Schilling, 57 yards on 2 catches. And then Eli Paulson, 1 catch for 9 yards. Yeah, that's who we were led by. And now they got to focus on, this was 2 weekends ago. No, this was last weekend. Sorry, I'm getting discombobulated. So yeah, now they have a big task at hand. They're going to be getting ready for their homecoming game against Butler. Yeah, they've been on the road for a month. Their last game was the first game of the season when they took on Lindenwood on August 28th. I was there, but it should be a pretty good game. But Butler's coming into this one, and in Division I football, they're wanting to spoil our homecoming for sure. They're coming in with a 3-2 record, lost to Northern Iowa to start the season, beat Truman State, and then beat Hanover before losing to Weber State last weekend. So they're very similar to us, looking to bounce back after a tough loss. Or no, sorry. They beat Morris for their homecoming, a close game. But yeah, should make for a pretty interesting game. And if I'm being completely honest, I think we are the better team, just like I thought we were the better team against San Diego. But you still got to go out and prove it to everybody and actually get the job done. So that's what we have for the Tommies. Roll Toms. Let's go get it. Let's go win Hoko and get back over 300 and start winning and get a streak going of our Pioneer Football League games. And then for our other big D1 program across the Mississippi River, the Gophers, are coming off of a very back and forth game against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Ethan Kaliak-Manis led the Rutgers Scarlet Knights to a 14-0 lead just about 5 minutes into the second quarter, before the Gophers scored 14 unanswered points, but it was ultimately the Scarlet Knights that would rush for another touchdown with about 18 seconds to go in the first half to make it a 21-14 game heading into half. And then ultimately it would be our third quarter that would prove to be the difference maker, as we would score a touchdown and a field goal in the third quarter before both us and Rutgers would trade touchdowns in the fourth quarter and held on for a nice 31-28 win. They're 3-1 right now, and then 1-0 in Big Ten play. Drake Lindsay had another amazing game, 31 of 41 through the air, 324 yards with 3 touchdowns. Fabe Jinabo looked solid with Darius Taylor's out with an injury. He finished with 37 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries. And then the Drake Lindsay really kind of spread the love. Jalen Smith, Javon Tracy, and Lemeki Brockington all caught a touchdown pass from them. And all of Jalen Smith, 4 passes for 103 yards, 6 catches for 54 yards for Javon Tracy, and then Lemeki Brockington, 5 for 41 yards. Even you had Drew Biber, 4 catches, 41 yards. Logan Loya, 4 catches, 27 yards. And Jamison Gears, 3 for 24 yards. And Cam Davis, 3 for 18. So I think this is going to be key for them against Ohio State coming up here, because obviously, when you got a team like Alabama who's got a clear-cut wide receiver 1, it's like you try to take him away, because more often than not, if you got a guy like that, you take him away and you make the other wide receivers beat you, you can live with that. When you're a team like the Gophers, who maybe doesn't have a clear-cut wide receiver 1, and you're kind of tossing and, as long as you're given time to throw the ball, if you can have time to take the ball and give it to everybody else on the offense, that's what you want, because then you make it more difficult for the defense. Hey, who are we going to try covering? And more often than not, unless they're going to sit back in coverage, somebody's usually going to be open. Once again, a good problem to have. And again, it's going to be key for them for Drake Lindsay and that offense to utilize that, as they will have their work cut out for them. They have a primetime game this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on NBC, taking on the current number 1 in the nation, Ohio State Buckeyes. And very similar to like that Penn State game back in 2019. I know this is a big watch us, beat this team that's super good that nobody thinks we should be beating. And it's like, look, I'm not going to count it out. I don't think it's going to happen. I think right now we are it's already changed since we've been on the podcast. We are 23.5 point underdogs. And I think as long as we can cover that, that is a good game for us. If we can get close, if we can play a really good Ohio State team to, single digits, that would be unbelievable. And this isn't just me not believing in this team. I think this team, is a solid team. Do I think we're in the upper echelon of the Big Ten with the Penn States, with the Oregons, with the Ohio States? No, I don't. But I guess you got to start somewhere, and hopefully on national television we don't make ourselves look like asses. And I just, like I said, I really hope they can get it together and just play a good game. It doesn't need to be this amazing game. You don't have to go for all these home run balls. Just play a good sound game and make it a decent game. All I ask. So that is what we have for the Gophers. And then before we move on, I have our college bets for you guys this week. So obviously not just college, but all of our bets from last week did not do well. But you guys know as well as anybody, we always bounce back. In a quick recap, though, Atlanta, Georgia did not go over 52.5. And Minnesota didn't cover against the Rutgers. Virginia did win outright in their game, but that was all we did last week. This week, I got 4 games for you guys. So the first one, I like Vanderbilt and Alabama to go over 55.5 points. This Alabama offense, even though it didn't hit the bet I wanted for us and for you guys, looked really good this last week against Georgia, and add that to the fact that Vandy's defense is just not good. So I expect Alabama to score a lot of points on them. But on the flip side, Diego Pavia, I think, is a very good quarterback from what I've seen from him so far. He led the Commodores to a win over the Crimson Tide last year, if you didn't forget. And don't believe me, he's going to want to do it again. And I expect him to sling it and be able to put up points using his playmaking abilities on this Alabama defense. So give me Vandy, Alabama over 55.5 points. The second pick I like for you guys, Texas, Florida over 42.5 points. Hear me out. Florida has gone under in all 4 of their games this year, and Texas has gone under in their first 4 games. I know a lot of you are saying, Jack, listen to yourself. Don't go this way, go the other way. But let me let you into a secret. Vegas is very aware that both of these teams are having these starts, and they've adjusted this line accordingly. Add the fact that the Gators and Longhorns are both coming off of bye weeks. They're looking to make stamps on their season, kind of relatively still early here. Between both of these teams, I think there's just too much talent for these teams not to eventually find their rhythm. I think it's going to happen this week. It's not necessarily going to be a 70, 80, 90 point game, but expect this game to be in the 50s for a higher scoring affair. So give me Texas, Florida over 42.5. Third pick, I got Texas Tech minus 11.5 over the Houston Cougars. I think Joey McGuire has something really brewing with this Texas Tech team here. They are playing very well in their 4-0 start, and they're averaging a whopping 52 points per game. They're coming off a bye, and because of that, they won't overlook this Houston team. And on top of that, I personally think Houston might just be a little overrated and really struggled against a bad Oregon State team at home last week. So give me Texas Tech, Red Raiders, minus 11.5 over Houston. And then last, I like UAB plus 7 at home against Army. UAB is coming off of a bye as well, which I think will be a big factor in them prepping for Army's triple option offense that they like to run. It's worth noting that UAB has already played Navy this year, which has a very similar playing style that Army has. So they know how to prepare and what to prepare for. I think at the very least, they will cover the 7 points. I think it's a very possibility that they will actually just win this game outright. So that is what I like for you guys this week in college football. Vandy, Alabama over 55.5 points. Texas, Florida over 42.5 points. Texas Tech minus 11.5 points. And UAB plus 7 points. So yeah, that's what we got for our friends. I am sorry if I seem weird. There's like this little fruit fly that's just been bugging the crap out of me. Our great friends over at UNRL rocking the Legacy Snapback hoodie tonight, the khaki. Obviously very simple, very clean, very sweet look. I personally love it. And then obviously we've talked about it before, can't get this but rocking the thing. It was back in 2023 when we had our whiteout uniforms, those Christmas ones. They dropped these, and this is clean. With the 2 little kids, I cannot wear this around them. So any chance I get away from them, I'm wearing it. I love you guys. They better be sleeping right now. But yeah, super clean, super sleek. like I said, another one of their hoodies that is just amazing. It's great feel. It feels thin enough that you can wear it all by itself. It also feels thick enough that you can wear it as a final layer bundling up. And yeah, I personally love the stitching, but the look on the back here too. Just simply love it. It's also worth noting for my outdoors Polaris lovers, they have a collaboration coming out. What is it? 4 days, 10 hours, and some minutes here, something like that, coming up on the 7th. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. But yeah, like I said, they got some really cool stuff coming up. They have their first drop of the NFL drop number 1 on October 14th, which is holy crap, only 11 days away here. So super pumped for that. And then obviously after that, they have quite a bit of other stuff coming out as well. So super stoked. Like I said, I can't say enough about them as far as I'm concerned, regardless of if they're a Minnesota-based company or not. Top of the line as far as athleisure is concerned. They have amazing polos. You guys have seen me wear them here. Amazing Condor polos was kind of that sweet spot where a Henley meets like a polo shirt. Super comfy sweatshirts, quarter zips, pants, shorts, gym stuff. They literally have stuff that you can wear from the gym to the golf course, from the golf course to the airport. Anything that you need to wear, like, I'm not kidding you guys, my wardrobe is probably, in my closet is probably close to 50% UNRL, and I wear some of their stuff on a daily basis, even to work. So go check them out, unrl.com. Unreal. The stuff that they're doing truly is unreal. Facebook, X, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You guys will not be disappointed. Unreal. Can't, honestly, for those that have been around for a while, know that I can't say enough great things about them. They're just wonderful and an amazing company to support. So moving right along here, we also have some fun stuff as far as the Wild and Wolves are concerned, and to go with our NFL and Vikings. But one thing I wanted to bring up really quickly, unfortunately, this last week, the Minnesota Lynx season was cut short in the semifinals, and they were unable to get back to the WNBA finals after winning game 1 against the Phoenix Mercury. They lost three straight, including one in game 4 without Nafisa Collier. For those that don't know, the officiating in game 3 was, how do I want to put this lightly, questionable at best. Cheryl Reeves and some other people made that known. She got suspended for game 4. And then Nafisa Collier, arguably the best, but one of the best players in the WNBA, got injured in game 3. Bad foul, should have been called a foul, wasn't called a foul. So was out. Her team was without her, arguably the best player in the NBA. For game 4, lost a close one and couldn't force the game 5 back in Minnesota, which sucks. But really quickly before we move on, I'm sure a lot of you have heard Nafisa Collier's exit interview comments. And again, I believe her more than I believe the WNBA league offices. So, and I always say this because you never know the entire thing, and I'm not accusing Nafisa Collier of lying. If what she said is true, the league officials at the WNBA office should be ashamed of themselves as far as I'm concerned. It is preposterous that they have this mindset that they control everything. They're the leaders of a league that is literally losing money and being subsidized by the NBA, and I really hope they get their shit tossed around a little bit in their CBA agreements. We'll have to see how it all comes about here. I believe that is expiring either on Halloween or the day after Halloween, so it'll be interesting to see how those comments transpire into the CBA agreement. But that's what we have for that. That's really all I wanted to bring up on that topic. Don't want to get too crazy controversial into it. But then also wanted to bring up this last week, the Minnesota Wild have signed Kirill Kaprizov to an 8-year, $136 million contract extension. The deal is now the highest in NHL history in terms of total money and average annual value, $17 million. For a mark, it was previously held by Alexander Ovechkin at $124 million, and the Edmonton Oilers standout Leon Draisaitl is making $14 million. average annual per year. So yeah, so now heading into this upcoming season, the richest NHL contracts, you got Kirill at 17, Leon at 14, Austin Matthews at 13.25, Nathan McKinnon at 12.6, Connor McDavid at 12.5, Mitch Marner at 12, and then Mikko Rantanen at 12. He definitely deserves this money. He really does. He's phenomenal. I would just really hope he stays healthy, relatively healthy, and for most of the games these next couple of years, because that would suck to have to pay him all this money and not have him be available to us. It would be a big Minnesota thing for to happen to us, but hopefully it does not, and we should be just fine. And on top of that, the Wild are just about wrapping up preseason, which means the NHL regular season is right on our tails. I believe we have our first regular season game on the 9th and our home opener on the 11th. So with that, our NHL preview podcast will be this upcoming Monday, October 6th. And then we will have our weekly podcast next Wednesday as well. So yeah, that is what we have for the Wild and Kirill Kaprizov. A huge congratulations to him on his contract. Oh man, I'll be right back. So yeah, like I said, as well, no real new news on them, but it did come out within the last week that months after we were eliminated from the playoffs, that Anthony Edwards has actually called on an NBA legend to help him take the next steps in his game, none other than Michael Jordan. And I mean, it's not something that's completely unheard of, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, you like to hear those kinds of things because you think back to LeBron and KD and all these, big names that are inevitably going to retire in the next couple of years. But when they were looking to take their next steps, you knew they were working out with Kobe. They were working out with some of these vets, these older guys out of the league. So to know that at 24 years old, kid's not even barely in his prime, and he's already consulting Michael Jordan for, pointers on how to get to his spot, because it's sounding like Chris Finch and this offense are going to want to utilize him more off ball, trying to hopefully bring Dillingham more into the picture and develop more of that point guard to help facilitate everything. So super exciting, and can't wait to see what he can do in terms of just taking his game to the next level. I think, again, we've talked about this before, but I think a lot of people talk a lot about the Minnesota Timberwolves loss, and they're taking a step back because they failed to do anything in the offseason. And I would argue the opposite. They didn't send too much out to get Kevin Durant. They didn't sell the team to do that. They held steady. They were able to keep some guys that they really liked, and they were able to draft a couple guys that they think can develop into bigger stars. They still have the likes of Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, who coming into the next season will have a lot more chemistry with this team. So I'm still super high on this team. Still trying to figure out when we're going to do our NBA season preview, so keep your eyes and ears and mouths peeled for that. But that's what we have for Anthony Edwards, the Timberwolves, and the NBA season. And then, before we jump into everything, another, not like I said, wasn't a great week in terms of bets and picks that we had for you guys. Obviously, the LA Chargers lost straight up to Jackson Dart, slaying his thing all over that team in New York. The Jets did not upset the Miami Dolphins, even though they should have, because Tyreek Hill was out. And then obviously the Vikings did not come back into the game. 0-3 on the week, 8-5 now. We're going to bounce back. Doesn't help that 4 games into the season, we haven't gotten one of our bold predictions on the offense or defensive side to hit as well. But I think I've talked about it a little bit already with some family members and some friends and everything like that. And I think, again, not to talk about, we love our spit it out, moral victories. And it's not a moral victory. I just think being down with 10 minutes to go in the game, being down 24-6 and coming back and having an opportunity to kick a field goal and potentially tie it up is remarkable. And I think it says a lot about Carson Wentz and what we potentially have at quarterback. It kind of depends on what's going to happen here next couple weeks and if JJ's just going to take his spot back when he does come back. But that is what you want to see. You don't would have sucked even more was we're down 6-27, hut hike, let's get out here, half-ass and everything like that. No, you could argue down 26-4 or down 6-24. Carson Wentz was more eager than anything to go out there and get back into this just as much as he was at the beginning of the games. I think, unfortunately, we let Aaron Rodgers get a little bit too comfortable in the pocket too early on in the game. And, I think coming into this game, if you didn't tell yourself that we were about to go up against one of the best defenses in the league, you were kidding yourself, because this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is nothing to joke about. They're very good and very talented and have guys at all three levels on the defensive side. And yeah, it just sucks that we're once again back at 500 and looking to hopefully rebound it into 3-2 heading into our bye week. Before we get into our picks for the week for you guys, I've seen some people out there talking about Jack, or not just to me, but just in general of, geez, Adam Thielen has been virtually a non-factor for us. And, I get it. You want to see him more. I think a lot of people in those first 3 weeks, me too, more involved in the offense. But if you think about it, let's just look at the numbers. In 4 games, he has been targeted 8 times, caught 4 balls for 37 yards. So not great numbers. But let's just look at targets. Outside of Thielen, only JJ, Tyler, TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor, and Xavier Scott have been targeted more times than. However, the unfortunate thing is you got to add on Jordan Mason to who's caught more balls. And, I think if you thought he was going to come in and just be amazing and have all these catches for us, it probably wasn't going to be realistic. It was more bring him back. He's probably going to retire in the next year or two, retire as a Viking kind of a thing. But at the end of the day, I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. I mean, and his time's going to come now that Jordan Addison's back. He had a big play to try bring us back into the game there with that big bomb from Carson Wentz. But he's going to, like Adam Thielen, I look at guys like Adam Thielen, Ty Felton, Jalen Naylor, Mason Scott, they're going to have their opportunities, because within these next couple of weeks, you're going to have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson getting double covered. So these guys need to step up, because we've seen it before with Kevin O'Connell. If Ty Felton's out there and he's wide receiver 3 and he's getting thrown to and he's dropping 3-4 balls a game, he's not going to put him out there a lot again. So you have to make the best of it. And yeah, all that stuff. So yeah, coming into this week, what do I like? So lucky for you guys, I have quite a bit of fun stuff for this section for you guys. So first and foremost, upset for the week, I like the Panthers plus 1.5 over the Dolphins. Let's just be honest. What Dolphins team are we going to get on Sunday? They shut out the Falcons in a big way in week 3, and then right after that got absolutely trounced by the likes of Drake May and the Patriots in week 4, facing off against one of the worst run defenses in the league, with the Dolphins allowing just over 5 yards per carry on the season. Bryce Young and the Panthers will have an opportunity to get the ground game going, and could be a tall task for a team averaging 100.3 rushing yards per game. Don't get me wrong, I'm well aware that the Panthers are struggling just as much as the Dolphins, but with Miami on the road during a short week, maybe this is a chance for Carolina to pounce back from an embarrassing and demoralizing loss this week. So for the upset, I like Panthers plus 1.5 over the Dolphins. My lock, I gotta, like I talked about in the mini pick'ems, I gotta roll with my boy Danny Dimes, Danny Dollars, if you will. minus 6.5 over the Raiders. The Raiders are simply melting down in the passing game, with Ashton Genty being the centerpiece of that offense. The Colts can counter well with red hot Jonathan Taylor, and also shred this Raiders coverage on intermediate routes with Daniel Jones throwing to Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren. So give me the Colts to beat the Raiders at the bare minimum by a full 7 points of a touchdown. And then this Vikings game, again, very basic. I'm just going to take our 3.5 points in this one. I think the big factor for this is we get to stay across the pond and not have to make much of a time difference. Well, the Browns have to come all the way over. Don't get me wrong. This defense is a full. They are just as much to deal with as the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was. And but let me let you guys in on something which will be very interesting for our defense to exploit. So I texted my one of my cousins earlier today. So in terms of in yards allowed, Cleveland is the number one defense in the league, the number one run defense in the league, and the number 4 pass defense in the league. However, their defense is giving up the 9th most points in the league at 25.5 points per game, which is so strange, which is just odd. But again, I think that is a testament to how bad that offense really is. And now we know we're going up against Dylan Gabriel, who is a rookie, and I don't think this is going to be a great game for the rookie. So let's just dive right into it. Week 5 against the Browns. I got us winning 26 to 13 against the Browns. Like I said, their defense isn't fun to go up against, but I think their pass rush is something that you can look at and exploit just a little bit. At the very least, I think the Vikings defense is going to get big breaks from big plays from JJ, Jordan Addison, big players on our offense, whereas Dylan Gabriel is just going to have a handful in this game in his first career start. So with that, on the offensive side of things, I'm just going to keep it simple. I think both JJ and Jordan Addison get receiving touchdowns in this game. And then on the defensive side of things, I'm going to keep it simple too. I think we hold the Dylan Gabriel off the scoreboard, 0 touchdowns, and at least 1 interception for you guys. And then I have some other NFL games I like for you guys this week before we get going. Detroit Lions, 8.5-point favorites over the Bengals after their bad game against the Denver Broncos and the game before that. I'm surprised this line is not bigger. This Detroit Lions team has really kind of gotten their act together and gotten some stuff rolling here. So I expect them to lay the hurt down on the Bengals and go from there. I like the Bills Patriots to hit over 49.5 points. I think both of these offenses are good and can put up numbers. The Bills could easily get over to 49 points by themselves, and the Patriots have shown that they can put up points when they need to. I like the Denver Broncos plus 4.5 over Philadelphia. Don't get me wrong, I'm well aware I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning this game in the pick'ems. I just think this is going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 point game. I don't think Philly is going to destroy the Broncos. I think this Broncos is a good team. So give me the Broncos plus 4. And then I got the Ravens Texans under 40.5 points. They haven't rolled them out yet, but I'm inclined to think Lamar is going to be out. Both of these teams they're not putting up a lot of points. The Ravens have struggled to close out games, and this one, as much as it should be a game you look forward to watching, I don't think it's going to be a fun, alluring game to watch. So those are 4 other picks that I like this week if you guys are interested and want to use those. But yeah, that's essentially what I got for you guys this week. And then quickly, before we go here for the night, a couple people have reached out that watched the calling of the Atlanta Falcons game. Curious if we're going to be doing some more live streaming of games and calling games. And we will. These last week and this week are tough games for me. My family and I, we go to church every Sunday early in the morning. So these 8:30 games are tough. And then unfortunately we have the bye week. And then unfortunately the week after that, I'm going to the game. So we're going to be looking at either Thursday night football against Los Angeles on October 23rd or Detroit game on November 2nd as the next one we're going to do. But with the NHL and the NBA coming up here too, I am going to work, and hopefully this upcoming podcast I'll have more of a schedule and I'll post it maybe on our socials for you guys. But the plan is don't quote me yet, but I'm probably gonna do the Los Angeles game, because the plan is, we essentially have October, November, December. We have 3 months left. So my plan is to do at least 3 more games for the Vikings this year, maybe 4 total. And then once the Wild and Wolves get in the thick of things, I plan on doing about 2 or 3 games per month, depending on schedules and that kind of stuff. So like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. We will definitely be coming out with a schedule that you guys can look and follow along with, so that we can get more engagement that way. If that's something that you guys enjoy, I know it's something I enjoy. And then before I let you guys go, like every single week, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go interact with us on our socials. It's always awesome to see all the comments, all the likes, all the reactions and everything to all of our posts. We love it. But to encourage you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel, after you subscribe, comment on the video that you subscribed from. I will personally respond to your comment, and then we'll send you out a free mini weekend sticker as well. So go subscribe. You will not be disappointed. And you'll get notified every single time of the new episode, so you won't have to wait until you're free just to go watch it. So that's what we got for you guys. Until next time, Mini.